Welcome back. Hope you're having a good morning. Well, for starters, the SGX 50 suggesting that we start off with a gain of close to around 75 points odd. So building onto yesterday's gains, we recovered 150 points. That would be a 220-point recovery from yesterday's lows. Sustaining that is going to be most crucial. But plenty of stocks are going to be in focus, and Prakash Diwan joins us to help us out with some fundamental analysis. Hi, Prakash. Good morning. Well, Prakash, crude oil prices have seen a sharp correction to around $73 per barrel odd, which is good news for various companies. What are the companies you're looking at out there? Some of the OMCs did very, very well yesterday, even in a weak market. You had paint companies as well that are sounding quite positive. We had Bircher Paints case in point yesterday. Would you look at a couple of these counters to play this crude decline theme?
Good morning, Nigel. So, I think while the softness in crude is understandable and welcome, I'm not too sure how long that sustains. This of course has been triggered by this sharp realization that if you're closer to a recession than any other time, this is it. But having said that, structurally, that's something which will probably take some time to translate into transportation, logistics, packaging costs for a lot of our businesses, which have been struggling with higher input costs, particularly on the FMCG and consumption, broadly the consumption thing. So I would wait for that. But by and large, airlines is definitely a direct beneficiary of this. And if this sustains even for probably 15 days a month, there's a huge difference it ends up making to their P&Ls. So I think that's the immediate and most direct benefit. But for other sectors, other businesses, I think it'll be a while before the benefits start accruing. So I would wait for that. But yes, it's definitely good news at the back of all this clouded environment that you are sitting.
Okay. Prakash, hi, good morning. I wonder your thoughts on Reliance. Back to back in the last 1 week, there have been 3 brokerages that have written positive notes. There was Jefferies, JP Morgan, and now CLSA. And all are saying the same thing, that perhaps the worst of the bad news is in the price. And this is a good time to buy Reliance. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely, absolutely, I would agree. Because not just the fact that the optics look so attractive, it's 5% close to its conservative estimate, as some brokerage talked about. What you need to understand is that while we have been waiting for that much awaited tariff hike and the 5G impact starting to kind of trickle into the revenue side, Bharti has gone ahead and hesitatingly, gingerly, they've started raising, tariff. They've started hiking tariffs in some of the plans, some of the cities, some of the geographies. But Reliance Jio hasn't yet kind of gone all out to do that, because they're still probably letting this 5G rollout be much more, intense or reach a critical mass. The other thing that you have is crude softness, which Nigel just spoke about. I mean, that you've seen how the government is so timely responded to that change in the windfall against that. So that's also going to help. And remember, gas prices, the way they are today, we have not yet seen that full quarter, of benefit translate into the P&L for Reliance, and that's also going to start accruing. So I think from a sum of parts basis, if you look at Reliance, should probably be closer to 3,000. Even from a 1 year forward perspective, at very, very decent valuation, very undemanding valuation, where it's not. So I think it's the mood of the market, it's the ETF outflows that has kept a lid on this. But somewhere it has to kind of give in and correct. So on the way up, I'm sure there is a very strong tactical case for it. Of course, from the long term, it continues to be very strong. But from a shorter term perspective, also, I think there is a very clear upside.
Prakash, hi, morning. In this correction we've been seeing for about 2 weeks or so, anything which has become very, very, very attractive valuation-wise, in an unwarranted way? Any names?
Prashant, so that is always tricky, right? I mean, anything that gets very attractive, you really start wondering whether there are any fundamental reasons to back that. But let me tell you what is seeming like a lot of noise, around what's happening, and these events keep on happening while we know at the back of our mind that our banks are not as vulnerable. We don't have, a market which is so largely the 81 bonds market, which could probably cascade into a little bit of a worrisome spot. We don't have all those things, but we are still, seeing that reaction on the market, which is purely liquidity driven. So the moment that liquidity stems, the outflow stems, things could start looking very, very different. I would bet on some, cases like steel, particularly larger companies like Tata Steel, which have consolidated so much, which are in the process of merging some of their businesses together, and they've deleveraged themselves. So what happened to sugar, let's say 3 years back, when the deleveraging cycle happened? I mean, you're talking about people, sugar companies giving 200% dividend so commonly. So that's exactly what's going to happen in the steel business once China starts, revving up. So we've built capacities, whereas the rest of the world is actually slowed down or shut down a lot of the capacity. So that effect will something which will happen. Probably take a month or 2 or 3, but somewhere around, I think the surprising element of this whole shakeout is going to be some of these infra companies, some of these steel companies, and some of these auto companies also, which we've written off right now. Nobody's talking about it because the numbers being not great. But these are pockets where I think there's going to be a huge upside as and when things start looking a bit normal or seeming normal, even if they are not normal.
Okay, we'll keep an eye out on that. Let's just take a breather from this market conversation and get talking to some corporates as well.